And the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, thanks. Give me one more second.
So, welcome everyone to our Cloud Talk 16 session, where together with Nikki Panchev, we have special guest, Yordan Dimov. He's a friend of us who is pretty famous and recognized in Bulgaria for his expertise in Azure Cloud, but not only, in general, IT technologies, infrastructure. So today's session, he will share with you some deep dive best practices of cloud adoption framework with Terraform. And just a quick introduction from our side. Together with Nikki Panchev, we've run this event for 16 time. We've been working in the IT field for a long time, helping large organizations adopt the cloud. Our focus is mainly on the Microsoft technologies. We also covered not only the cloud, but also helping with the AI through our, and we also have some another group called AI Talks, where we're discussing everything happening in the AI fields. But this group is mainly focused on Microsoft technologies. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the good, for the nice words, Nikki. Yeah, today the agenda will be, the focus will be cloud adoption framework. But actually, the content will be slightly different. I will try to give you a walkthrough, not only to set the context and explain on very high level what is cloud adoption framework, how it links to the other frameworks that are available. I will speak about some of the new changes in the so-called well architecture framework. But mainly, I would like to present what are the available solutions for making a cloud adoption in Azure using Terraform. Because in the past months, I identified that there are a lot of solutions that appeared in the time, but not all of them are really mature and reliable. So this is why I think it will be helpful to give you a picture what can be considered as a mature and possible path to take in order to adopt Azure with Terraform. I will make a comparison between these solutions. We'll select one of them and we'll explain why I like more this on top of the others. We'll try to describe the anatomy of the solution. What were the learnings from this experience, and probably platform current state is not important. It left from the internal presentation, but because we use this, the selected solution is used for our internal needs. I will also make a demo for some of these solutions that are available. So a lot of things to share. I can speak a lot because these are really big topics. We'll try to be tight as much as possible. So let's start. First, yeah, I would like to again thank to Nikolai and the other Nikolai who give me the opportunities to speak today. Yesterday was a big holiday in Bulgaria. I don't know who is the big fish and the small fish from their team, but yeah, they do a lot of nice stuff for the Bulgarian community, and not only. Yeah, I don't know if they celebrated yesterday, if they're sick because of that, but I noticed they're exploring AI things late at night. So yeah, happy Names Day for both of you. My name is Yordan Dimov. Some of you knows me. I'm an Azure Cloud Architect at 5 Partners. You can find me at LinkedIn. I will share the slides after the call. All of the slides actually contain a link to a content that can give you more information about the content I'm presenting. So it can be used also, I hope, as a guideline which can be followed, and you can find more information if you're interested. Going next, okay. Azure Cloud Adoption Framework. I will give you, as I said, a high-level introduction of the framework, because you need to have some level of context before I switch to the Terraform and technical stuff. So it is a set of guidelines and best practices designed to help organizations to adopt and implement Microsoft Azure Cloud Services. And it provides structured framework that enables organizations to plan, implement cloud adoption in a way that aligns with their business goals and objectives. This approach helps organizations to avoid common pitfalls and ensures that they're making the most out of the cloud services available quickly, securely, and in scale. The cloud adoption framework helps you to align your business goals with your cloud vision. So you can assess your readiness, prepare your environment, implement your solutions, and optimize your operations. So if we have to summarize it, it can help you to understand your current environment and what it will make to achieve your goals, align with your organization behind comprehensive cloud strategy, ensure you're following best practices at every step, reduce your risks of costly mistakes, let you draw on the knowledge of experts, community, instead of reinventing the wheel, because all of these frameworks actually receive community contribution a lot, and they help everyone to learn from their experience. Also, it can help you to ensure a smooth and more efficient transition to the cloud. So it is divided, the cloud adoption framework is divided into 6 main parts, where each of them is important: a strategy, plan, ready, adopt, govern, manage, and one which is actually embedded and in use from the beginning till the end, if there is an end, since this should be a continuous process. It's the security. So everything that is considered during the adoption of the framework is taking in consideration security and security best practices. So each stage includes its own best practices, tools within the documentation of the framework, and all the resources that are provided by the framework. Below, actually, on the slide, you can find a link to the Cloud Talks number 4. Presented by Nikolai Markov, and I think it was a series of talks exploring in detail each of these stages and parts. The strategy probably is one of the most important because it aims to help organizations to efficiently document their business strategy. Any considerations that are going to be taken further by following the framework have to be done for purpose and aligned with your business needs. So it defined and document, it helps you actually to define and document your organization motivations, the drivers for adopting the cloud. If you're doing brownfield or you're assessing your adoption posture, it can give you also insights to properly measure and score your current state of cloud adoptions, and of course give you recommendations if, and of course the business needs change in the time. If these needs changed in the time, how to properly go back on the right track and align with your current business needs. The framework also provides a variety of different artifacts, templates, which can help you to document all the desired business outcomes, evaluate your financial considerations, understand technical considerations. Then the planning phase help you to document the technology strategy. It offers guidance on how to prioritize the tasks that have the most impact on the adoption efforts. So it helps you to make an inventory of your digital estate according to assumptions that align with your motivations, as well as predefined business outcomes. It helps you also to establish a plan for your initial organizational alignment to support your cloud adoption plan and address any skill readiness gaps if there are any. Also, it helps you to develop a cloud adoption plan designed to help manage changes across the organization, your digital estate, and the relevant skills. Going further, to get ready for the adoption, actually, this is where I will spend more time because the implementation fits into this stage of readiness, and I will explain why. So an organization must create a landing zone. I will explain also in more detail what is landing zone, but it creates a landing zone that can host the workloads that will be built in or migrated to the cloud. Azure Landing Zone is an environment that considers security, governance, identity, scalability, and networking, built to enable migration, modernization, and innovation at scale, depending on your type of adoption and your current posture. There are a variety of types of landing zones. Also, I will present what could be the differences on high level. And Azure Landing Zone is conceptual architecture that helps to set a direction for the approach of the organization takes to implement one of these landing zones. The adoption cloud solutions means that business open themselves for further innovation through the cloud native or hybrid solutions. The method for cloud adoption will vary depending on the organizational business objectives and phase in the adoption journey. So also the cloud adoption framework provides a guidance depending on your current objectives, what approach you should take, and what are the specifics for each of these adoption strategies. Of course, it is possible to take multiple paths at the same time. So you have to prioritize how you start with which is the most important strategy. Are you going to migrate existing workloads, to modernize, innovate, relocate, and so on? The foundational phases or initiatives that keeps the organization safe through this journey are three, as I mentioned: govern, manage, and security, where the security, because it's embedded during each of these phases and is considered through all of them. It's not on the slide, but I would say that security is taking a very significant part during the cloud adoption journey. So cloud governance, as I said, keeps the organization safe through this journey with processes that support business throughout. It is essential to clearly identify the risks within key areas of importance before converting this into corporate policies, establishing processes that include actions for the cloud governance team to implement. The cloud governance framework sits across 5 disciplines. So by itself, it also splits into cost management, security baseline, resource consistency, identity baseline, and last but not least, deployment accelerations. Ongoing management remains a key for delivering desired business outcomes, where the cloud adoption framework outlines several steps that can be utilized for successfully creating an actionable approach to manage cloud operations. Or if we have to say it differently, it defines your strategy and guides you through all of these phases, how to build your cloud target operational model. So this includes defining business commitments, establish management baseline, expanding to and advancing operations and design principles. As I said, it's not on the slide, but cloud security is also involving process that progress with business objectives. And this methodology is taking desired end state of cloud adoption to guide the ongoing security process and programs. Okay. This slide will be quick. So if we take the cloud adoption framework and we have some other additional artifacts that we can leverage for Microsoft, that through the cloud adoption framework, it gives you guidance of if you identify any technical skill gaps. It provides a recommendation how to fulfill these gaps. It provides you also with the appropriate learning documentation so you can upskill your teams. It provides it provides an extended library of reference architectures to accelerate your cloud adoption. And yeah, some of them are topic of today's discussion. It provides you a guidance with the well architecture framework, how to properly design your workloads and how to optimize the workloads with the well architecture framework, which is mainly focusing on the migration, adoption, or innovating the workloads within your cloud posture. It provides you a list of best practices, checklist, and guidelines for optimizations and quick onboarding. And yeah, a lot more documentation, which continuously evolve in the time. So depending on your cloud needs and the focus and the main technology needs that you might have, it provides a different cloud adoption scenarios. Some of them are on the slide, are listed on the slide, but there is a link at the bottom which you can follow and find more. So for each of these technical environments, you can read a lot of tailored guidelines, which can help you to adopt and build your cloud adoption around all these specific technologies and your primary needs. Yeah. So what is Azure Platform Landing Zone? So landing zones provide workloads with necessary foundational utilities, which we call application landing zones. But the foundational utilities that are provided from a platform foundation. And actually, something that on a topic on which together with my colleagues from 5 partners, where we have different skill sets, and we have 2 main technology stacks for AWS and expertises for AWS and Azure. It was always a topic for discussion, and we identified that there is a misunderstanding between the terminology, because in the context of Azure, at least my understanding, when we're speaking about landing zones, the landing zone by itself can split on 2 parts. Platform foundational landing zone, which provides all these foundational utilities and core services that are required to support 1 or more workloads, where the workloads actually sit into an application landing zone. So we have platform landing zones and application landing zones. In the context in AWS, most of the time people, when they hear about landing zone, they're thinking about application landing zones. So Azure Landing Zone is the output of multi-subscription Azure environment that accounts for scale, security, governance, networking, and identity. And Azure Landing Zone also enables application migration, modernization, and innovation, or the approach that you have taken based on your business needs. And this approach considers all platform resources that are required to support application portfolio, and doesn't differentiate between infrastructure as a service or platform as a service. So it can be true, it can be not. So I would say that depending on your target operational or cloud target operational model, you could have separation or even isolation between these adoptions, even within single tenant. So think about that you have a complete centralization split within your company, and each of these parts of the company, because of acquisition or for some different business needs, they would like to keep some parts of the infrastructure separated, and they would have to have a full control under their operational responsibilities, which means that you can, even within a single tenant, could have a multiple platform landing zones to support your application landing zones. And each platform landing zone within a tenant can support 1 or many application landing zones. Most of the time, when we're speaking in the context of Azure about Azure Platform Landing Zones, it's the adoption of a single organization, and it is considered that this organization is managed using a platform team who will have a different disciplines within and responsibilities within the core platform teams responsible for different core services and processes. And the platform landing zone is consistent and split into 4 main parts. So connectivity, management, identity, and security. Security actually was considered as a new concept as responsibility and processes which needs to sit somewhere nearby the management subscriptions, identity subscriptions, and connectivity, where you can build, or your platform security team could build their own portfolio of core utilities to support the entire organization and to have a full visibility and control through the environment. Same applies, for example, for the identity platform portion, where you can have a team responsible not only for the Azure, slide update, Microsoft Enter ID, and for your directory services, for example, so they can host your or your organization could host your directory services in a dedicated, isolated logical entity in which, again, these directory services can be considered, or your Active Directory could be considered as such core utilities to support the entire organization, where all of your landing zones, for example, in case you have infrastructure as a service services, they have to integrate into these directory services, and you have a core team as usual that is supporting the directory services for your organization. So Cloud Adoption Framework helps you how to define your business needs and mainly your cloud operational model, how to organize based on these business needs, all of these logical hierarchies based on these operational needs, how to organize your governance, security, operational model, to define your roles and responsibilities. Because if you think the management groups considered as a logical hierarchy and subscriptions are just type of logical entities, right? But what makes it a landing zone is when you consider your business needs and convert them into policies, rules, and processes to tightly couple the management groups with the subscriptions and the variety of different logical entities with the specific needs. This turns the native resources into landing zones and into a good and mature cloud adoption. What else? We have one more framework called Well Architecture Framework. I mentioned that it is mainly focusing on the workloads, and it is a set of best practices and guidelines focused mainly, again, on a single workload. And it helps users to build, deploy, and maintain high quality, efficient, and secure cloud-based solutions on top of Azure platform, integrated into your platform landing zones. The Well Architecture Framework serves as a guide to evaluate your workloads, identify potential issues, and make informed decisions about architecture improvements, and it helps organizations to build and maintain They are scalable, robust, and secure solutions on Azure. The well architecture framework by itself has can be split on multiple pillars for reliability, performance efficiency, operational excellence. Did I miss anything? Yeah, and cost optimization, I think. Okay. Let me check what is the time. Okay. I will not go into details for each of these pillars which build the well architecture framework. Yeah. Workload. So this is just a small representation. What is workload? Because it's something. I don't know if it's a term which is developed by Microsoft. I think it's not, but sometimes I find that people are not aware what is workload as a term. In the context of well architecture framework, it refers to a collection of application resources, data, and supporting infrastructure that function together towards a defined business goal. So it's a small representation of a workload which is built from multiple tiers. Like you have compute, you have cache, database, you have some file storages, and you have a foundation which is supporting your workload. And going further, it's an example of application landing zone. And this is taken actually from the Azure Virtual Desktop Accelerator, where you can find these lines here, which are drawn to present VNet peering between your connectivity platform utilities. For example, if your organization is stepping on a hub and spoke topology or a virtual WAN or something like that, and if all of your applications for one or another technical or business reason are supposed to integrate to your connectivity utilities. So each landing zone can be split on two parts. One that is built by your platform team, who is responsible not only to provide these utilities, but also when you're deploying your application landing zone, each landing zone to come up with all these supporting utilities, like your virtual network, which will be already integrated to your core services and utilities, in order to prepare your application landing zone to onboard your workloads, and from day one they can be fully functional and ready for operations. The landing zone definition also could come with monitoring, backup, or some policy restrictions, identity and access management rules applied to your application landing zone. So from day one, you could have this readiness and operational model how you will operate and support your workloads for your organization. Or previously, it was titled as a reference architecture, which is taking in consideration all these specifics. There were a couple of updates which came, I think, in Ignite. So the well architecture framework was documentation was refined slightly, and now it comes with guidelines guidelines for design principles, checklists, what is the sequence of steps and things that needs to be taken in consideration for when you're designing or optimizing or just assessing the posture of your application landing zone, what kind of trade-offs you have to make when you're designing your landing zone, and recommendation guidelines, and a cloud design patterns. So each of the well architecture frameworks for the different flavor of technologies is coming with well-structured guidelines for your workloads. In this case, landing zone with which is stepping on Azure Virtual Desktop as a technology. So well architecture framework, if we have to summarize it, is a state which you achieve through a design and maintain through review and continuous improvement. And exactly, well architecture framework is the framework which provides you these guidelines for continuous improvement of your workloads and assessing your workloads. So design principles. So it's a principles set vision for workload. When designing workload, it presents goal-oriented principles that build a foundation for your workload. There are principles for reliability, security, cost optimization, operational excellence, and performance efficiency. Again, the pillars that build in the well architecture framework. You have the design review checklist, which is a high-level recommendations, help to make you informed decisions. So it's a sequence and list of roughly codified recommendations that drive action. You can use the checklist during the design phase of a new or existing workload as a brownfield. Trade-offs, finding the balance between pillars, for example, cost efficiency versus reliability or performance. It's always a trade-off because if you need more performance, it's going to be probably a more costly solution, and the same applies for reliability if you need zero RTO and RPO, for example. Again, all the business and organizational needs, not only the workloads requirements, have to be set as a principles at the beginning of your cloud adoption, considering the cloud adoption framework. So they have to be well documented, and you start taking the journey with the well architecture framework, which helps you to design your workload or application landing zones. Recommendations, checklist recommendation. These are just guidelines. They explain the key strategies to fulfill specific recommendations and are more technical recommendations. And you have the cloud design patterns or common architectural patterns in the Azure Architecture Center, which is really nice. Previously, I was always using Azure Architecture Center, where you can find a variety of different reference architectures for different needs. And now it links with well architecture framework, where you can find all these links between both. Okay. Going deeper, this is the journey of your adoption phase of cloud adoption. Defining your cloud adoption framework. So you have to create the platform subscription first. As a greenfield or brownfield environment, you might have a different approaches. But at the end, you have to define your platform, right? All these core utilities and services in which you will host your directory services, for example, your security services through which you will maintain and visualize your current state and your current compliance state, for example, the connectivity core utilities. So you have to first provision these four subscriptions. Then, based on your definition, you have to deploy all these platform services. Then you have to deploy your. Once you deploy your platform landing zone with all the components, core services, and so on, which have to be tailored to your specific business needs and operational models, you can continue with the application landing zone adoption. And you have to have something that have to provision your application landing zone subscriptions, which in the context of not only Azure, but AWS as well, is called vending process. Or in the context of Azure, it's a subscription vending process through which you provision your subscriptions linked to a specific billing accounts and profiles. Then you have a variety of different accelerators depending on your core services or workloads, how you operate them, how you host them. Microsoft provides you these accelerators through which you have this guided approach to deploy well-defined architecture for Kubernetes, for Azure Virtual Desktop, which is following all the security best practices and recommended governance model provided from Microsoft. So all these steps actually are considered through the accelerators for codified cloud adoption and how you manage your infrastructure as code. So we came to the main part of the of our today's session. Why it is still daunting task to figure out where to start. As I said at the beginning, I identified that there were a lot of projects initiated in the time, and most of them, for one or another reason, evolved to a different projects, or were just deprecated or discontinued, or they lost their community contribution. All this crap of unused projects actually can make you confused and not sure from where to start. A lot of the projects that are available actually are having a very confusing names, where something could be called, or at least for me, the namings of the Microsoft, even for the Microsoft projects and the community projects, none of them is following a good naming convention, and everyone wish to have Terraform in their name or CAF, and some of them are called CAF Terraform something, or Terraform CAF landing zone, or landing zone CAF something. So there are a lot of projects which is making all this adoption of your cloud environment, cloud definition using code quite hard. And yeah, I would like to help you now to put some structure behind it. So Microsoft, actually, there is a solution which is trying to move infrastructure as code to another level of infrastructure as a data. It's a community-driven solution which actually helps even organizations without extended expertises in Terraform to adopt cloud, and they help. I will demonstrate why actually and what means infrastructure as data. But they're taking the infrastructure definition to a higher abstraction level where you're not responsible at day one to start developing a lot of Terraform code modules and so on and so on. If you are really aware and confident, if you feel confident to understand what are all the links between the different Azure services and what are the specifics of and the trade-offs that you have to take in consideration in order to come up with a tailored configuration for your organization. Probably it will be a very good choice for you to move away the focus from starting developing Terraform from scratch to a level where you have to only define your configuration as data, as specific implementation. If you have an army of Terraform developers and you have the time and the comfort to develop everything from scratch, probably it will be best to start with the Microsoft solution, which is supported by Microsoft and recommended for Microsoft. Even if you start to customize the Microsoft provided solution, it will be not under support, but still it's a good accelerator that on which you can step on and start your journey and implementation as code. Okay. Again, we'll focus more on the tested framework, the community-driven tested framework, which gives you this ability to focus on infrastructure as data than infrastructure as code, where you're writing more configuration files in YAML or TFR files. Okay. The first two are the supported by Microsoft solutions. They are also known as Terraform for enterprise scale. You have links for each of these solutions. Enterprise scale does not integrate Azure vending module. So these two can be used together, but are two different solutions. The enterprise scale solution supported and recommended by Microsoft. The enterprise scale adoption for Terraform is focused for your platform landing zones and does not provide you the ability to deploy application landing zones. But there are a lot of accelerators. Once you deploy your platform landing zone using the Azure vending module together with the application accelerators, you can move from the platform, or you can extend your scope and implementation as code from implementation of the platform landing zones to the application landing zones. Similarly, the community solution, previously named as a cloud adoption framework for Terraform, now it is more popular as Azure Terraform for site reliability engineers. it is a framework that is designed to minimize the Terraform code that you need to write. It is very well and explicit written. So it's a framework which comes with the specific requirements, how to define your configuration as a TFR files, and it is using the so-called super module for Terraform that is implementing all of, actually it's a library of Terraform modules which can be used to deploy your specific Azure resources. So these two are tightly coupled and are used together. One is using the other. I mean, the SRE framework is using the super module to deploy the resources, where the SRE framework is also providing an automation, how using a definition into YAML files and Ginger templates, which you can make if you have the expertises, you can tailor to your specific needs and even extend this as a service, as we do in Phi. So you can extend the framework and support more different custom solutions. And while executing this configuration defined into YAML files and Ginger templates, it provides a good output of tested and reliable configurations, which can deploy your infrastructure from the platform landing zones to your Azure subscription vending machine, and even application landing zones. Something that I would like to demo. If we have time, actually, Microsoft in September made a slight update of their solution, and they're moving into the same direction, but with some differences, which I will try to cover. For the interest of time, and because I think I hope that I didn't become already boring, I will skip this part. You have link. I will share the slides after. You have links in each of these sections. This is a comparison table which is comparing the Microsoft supported solutions, the first three, and the community solution, which is the one at the last column. The first two solutions are a kind of click ops and are not customizable because they're defined into a bicep and ARM templates. And you're taking as is the templates. Of course, you can customize them, but then they will be not supported. You click on the templates, then you're redirected to your Azure portal, and you can deploy the reference architecture for cloud adoption named Enterprise Scale into your Azure tenant. You have one which can be used for small businesses or as a starting point, which can evolve to the enterprise scale. And you have one which we saw in the previous slides with multi-subscription model with heavy hierarchy that is representing your target operational model. Then you have the Terraform supported and recommended solution for Microsoft and the community solution. The main difference and what makes me happy more with the community solution is that the community solution, and this is the big difference, it's splitting all these levels of responsibilities, considering your possible operational model, how you split your responsibilities not only within the subscriptions but also within the infrastructure scope, so you can be more efficient in managing your Terraform and environment, because the Terraform module supported by and developed by Microsoft. Actually, not developed by Microsoft because both solutions are open source. Just one is recommended and supported by Microsoft. It is consisting the Terraform state in a single state file, which could cause a lot of different problems, which you might be aware, like conflicts, concurrency between the different configurations, code conflicts, and so on and so on. So there is a not good responsibility, split of responsibilities and state and scope of code, where the community solution is coming with a very nice hierarchy, which I will present. Also, the one which is recommended by Microsoft is primarily supporting enterprise agreement type of environments, where the community solution is supporting as EA, as MCA licensing agreements, service agreements. Some other not very significant differences, but yeah, these are the most important. Another big difference, the community solution is coming with templates for how to build your CI/CD pipelines in Azure DevOps, GitHub. And both of the solutions are stepping on another core concept within the community solution called Rover. And I will provide more details about Rover further. Okay, so this is the SRE framework for Terraform. The ambitions of it are that it equips the SREs teams for Terraform in Azure. It gives you the ability to democratize the infrastructure as a code, or let's say that you have a platform team and you would like to step further and give the ability to the application teams to have some autonomy. So you can build this democratization by splitting the code, state files, and responsibility between the different responsible teams. So yeah, it commoditizes the state management and enterprise-wide composition, standardize the deployments, leveraging the Azure landing zone components. It provides a prescriptive guidance how to enable DevOps for infrastructure as code. As I said, there are templates that come up pre-configured and ready, tailored to your needs, even not in a perfect state. The automation that I mentioned, that where you're providing a list of configurations based on your organizational needs, and the Ginger templates, which are interpreting this configuration defined into YAML, could output a working solution, a CI/CD pipelines for Azure DevOps or GitHub Actions to start and deploy all of your configuration as code through pipelines from day zero. Also, it could come with a customized agent environment for your CI/CD or collaboration tool. For example, you can choose from running your self-hosted agents on virtual machines, on Kubernetes, or Azure cloud instances. Not cloud instances, container instances, I apologize. Yeah, and probably another benefit, it fosters a community of Azure Terraformers using common set of practices and shared best practices. To summarize, the SRE framework is built by a CAF Terraform module, which is using the super module to deploy Azure resources. It's mainly built on top of two Terraform providers, Azure API provider, and the CAF Terraform provider. It can help you to build your platform landing zone as your application landing zones, and it also build the foundation for your infrastructure as a code strategy. Okay, what next? I went through most of this. So yeah, these are some of the benefits of using the SRE framework: a consistent development experience, data-driven infrastructure deployments, low entry costs because you don't have to have these big teams with a lot of Terraform expertise to start developing all the Terraform modules from day one. You step on existing modules which are tested and reliable, and you only define your organization and link and coupling between your Azure resources and what are the dependencies between them. It's the entire SRE framework is built around the cloud adoption framework best practices in respect of security. It is on an enterprise level for infrastructure as a code. Best practices in a box, scalable, customizable. There is a lot of documentation. Even based on my learnings, this documentation is slightly outdated, and I don't recommend you to strictly follow it because it can give you some, you can read it, it will give you some level of understanding, but it is outdated for one or another reason. It was not a priority for the community and is probably one of the most confusing things. But the part of the best practices and the best practices defined in the cloud adoption framework, you can reuse the documentation on which the entire solution is based. So you can read the cloud adoption framework, and everything that is described there is followed by the SRE framework. Everything as a code, it's another thing nice for the SRE framework, that it's really scoping all of the configurations that are possible, from your federated identities through which you have passwordless authentication of your pipelines, your provisioning of the service principal names, the Azure resources, the logical hierarchy. It builds also, it consists of the Microsoft solution. The Azure solution is consisted by the policy-driven method for managing your governance. I can give you some insights about it. I prefer actually to manage the policies or your governance as a code using Azure policies outside of either the SRE framework solution or the Microsoft solution, just because from my perspective, the policies are a specific, have to be managed by a specific team with certain responsibilities. And this is why I prefer this to be decoupled from the infrastructure and platform resource management and managed by a different team. So this is why I prefer to use another solution based on which actually there is a team in Microsoft who is developing all the best practices and representations defined in cloud adoption framework or well architecture framework into policies. And these policies are then put into the other solutions like the SRE framework and can be managed by the SRE framework or the other solution, which is called everything as a code solution for policy driven management of governance. It supports the democratization, and it unlocks the continuous innovation and collaboration from the community community experience and good practices. Okay, what is cutover? It's a key part of the Azure framework. It is, you can think about it as a small entity and configuration, which is a container by itself. It has a small wrapper deployed and configured within this container, which is under version control, and it's developed and managed by the community, who is driving its innovation. It's a small environment in a container, which can be considered as your integrated development environment. So this container, because it's by definition portable, can be used on any platform, like your personal computer, Mac, Linux, or whatever. It can be used in GitHub as a GitHub code spaces. So even you can have a consistent environment management from a browser or outside of your corporate environment. Also, it is also used as it can be also used as part of your self-hosted agent configuration on which you're executing the pipelines. So you have this consistent integrated development environment through all the possible phases of your development and management and maintaining of your cloud environment. It is consisted by a variety of different tools that guarantee a good level of code quality. Yeah, it is under version control. You can have this consistency between all of your development environments. If all of your developers, self-hosted agents, and so on and so on, are using the same version, and it also guarantees that there will be no drifts into your development environment. It's a very nice approach. I know that if these guys are on the call, I know that they prefer to build their own development. They use the same approach and build their own development environment in a container. So your entire team could have a consistent development environment everywhere, independently from the platform they're using it. So this is basically what is Rover. And there is a small application which is embedded within these containers called Rover. And this application is a Terraform wrapper. With this Terraform wrapper, the Azure framework is coming with a framework how actually you can impersonate credentials from a key vault without even having, the engineer who is executing the code could have access to these credentials. So all this can be completely transparent. Also, this wrapper has a framework how to manage the state files, how to identify where and which state file to use. So it can make the links from the outputs of all of your state files and make all this big map of configurations, which is normally could be tightly coupled, but this helps you to decouple the management of all of your configurations. Yeah, and it facilitates the transition to CI/CD. What does it mean? That even initially you're bootstrapping your cloud adoption through your local computer, it can easily shift the state files to be managed by CI/CD without breaking the ability the engineer to use the exact state files to experiment with configurations, to execute plans, and so on and so on. I will demonstrate that. Yeah, seamless experience. Let's move further. Yeah, I will not dig into each of these tools, but these are the tools which are under version control by the version controlled container called Rover. It's your integrated development environment again. It comes with all these utilities for code security, quality. You have linting, you have Jekyll for Terraform, TFSec. So yeah, it consists hooks which are executing some of these tools to guarantee a consistent level of seamless experience between any of the platforms you're using the Rover. So again, if we have to summarize, it simplifies secure state management on Azure storage accounts. It helps testing the different versions of binaries. It provides a development environment where everyone works with the same versions on DevOps toolchains, always up to date, running on laptop, pipelines, GitHub, whatever. Facilitates the transition, the identity transition to any CI/CD. Also, it helps you to move to different CI/CD platforms. Yeah, pretty much this is it. Going further, the SRE framework, as I said, is coming with this nice hierarchy, which is splitting your platform landing zone configurations into multiple layers. And also it provides two levels for your application landing zone configurations. So level 3, okay, let me start from level 1. Level 1 is your core platform automation, like storage accounts, key vault, service principal names, which are your foundation used by your CI/CD, for example, and it builds the required utilities to support the further level. Each of the levels, like level 1, which is supposed to host your platform governance, and level 2 supposed to support your connectivity utilities, is able to, I mean, the rover is managing the states in a way where it can consume data from the lower levels of configurations, which means that the foundation defined in level 1 can be used in level 0 can be used in level 1. For example, if you define from your level 0, which are your main regions, for example, you could have a primary region and secondary region. This configuration is defined in level 0, and then this is passed further in every subsequent level as general global settings and configuration. How your naming convention is defined, because the SRE frameworks also comes with a framework of managing your naming convention, so you can apply a consistent naming convention through your entire environment. As I said, level 2 is your connectivity configuration, where you can define your hybrid connectivity, your multi-cloud connectivity, your hub and spoke topologies, whatever. Level 3, if we have to translate this into operational model from 0 to level 3, these are levels that can probably be management and responsibility of your platform teams, or CCOE team, or the teams who are managing the main core utilities and services of your cloud organization, or your cloud adoption for an organization. Level 4 would be your level of democratization, which can be delegated to an application team to deploy using the exact same framework and tools to deploy their application-specific and workload-specific configurations, like Azure Virtual Desktop environment, or it can deploy your Kubernetes cluster for hosting specific workloads and so on. Level 3, managed by the platform team, have to support and enable each of the subscriptions of level 4 subscriptions to supply them with networking, to establish the peering between the hub and spoke topology, to apply the appropriate level of monitoring, the identity and access management for level 4, and this delegation model for your application teams. And yeah, so let's go further. Yeah, it's a simple diagram describing the link between two different levels, lower and higher level, how the higher level could consume data from the configuration developed in the lower level, and these two streams can be decoupled, actually are decoupled as different levels, and could have their independent life cycle or isolated life cycle, let's say. Okay, going further, another term that is introduced, it's called over ignite. It's a process where you're defining your top level configuration into YAML files and Jinja templates. This is supplied and to rover ignite process in order to interpret and translate these inputs as TFR files, defining your configuration, managing the configuration as data. It provides you and feeds you with updated to your needs. For example, you have a subscription somewhere, which is updated with a specific subscription ID or name of your existing environment. So it updates also the README file with a customized configuration based on your current environment, and it could provide you error-free pipelines to support your first initiations and deployments of your environment. Then all this is fitted to Terraform, and it results into configuration. Okay, check. I will step now to the demo. Nikki, could you help me with how much time do we have? 30 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, I think we can stick to the 2 hours. So let's say about, because I think we need to leave maybe 10 minutes for the end of the meeting just to see if we have questions or any discussions that we want to do. So
okay.
Yeah, let's do something like 20 minutes-ish.
Okay, first I will start with the community solution, how we start. Okay. This is a starter project, which is quite outdated. It comes with a very nice documentation, which is again outdated, but could give you a good understanding of the foundational terminology. The first step is, of course, to make a clone of this. Cloud Talks demo. Cloud Talks. Okay. So we have now our starter project, and I will do some quick and dirty changes. because of the interest of time. The rover image, the container which I mentioned, here it's slightly outdated. So I have to update it with the most recent version. This is stored in the Docker registry. Can we put some nice commit comment as always? Other important thing that needs to be done is actually to update the SRE, the SRE, the SRE repository. So here it's going to clone the SRE repository within our repo, which is coming with this SRE Terraform module. Why I'm putting a customized solution, customized repository? Because there were more than 150 bugs that were fixed in Ansible, in customizations that were adjusted in the Ansible code as part of this code repository for SREs. And probably the best approach is from day one to make a clone of this repository and start fixing all these bugs and customizations that are required. This is required during the rover ignite process, which needs to output a configuration tailored to your needs. And I will present you what does it means. I hope that I will have time to contribute back all these findings and adjustments that I have done, so people can benefit of it. But everyone is complaining at the moment that this rover ignite process is not working, and this is what actually is making people to take away from this solution and move to the Azure. Not Azure, but Microsoft Managed solution. I have to put two. Secrets. So this is why I moved the window away. Second. I hope that the token didn't expire. Okay, what I did is to create a secret, which is used by cold spaces and another bootstrap token used during the bootstrap process. This is described within the repository. There is documentation which you can read. And it will guide you through the process, what kind of privileges have to be delegated to these tokens. So you can use a least privilege approach and prepare the environment for execution. I will use the code spaces just to demonstrate that I can use this container everywhere, and I will have the seamless, consistent experience through all the platforms. And it's much easier to not use compute for my local machine with thousands of tabs. It's pity that I spoke so much. And if we face some demo problems quickly. Again, it's pulling the rover, our integrated development environment. It's going to make another clone of this repository. Oops. Okay, I will stop the camera. Why this? Again. Anyways. So I wanted to show you, okay, there is a documentation, which is the clone of the SRE framework repository. Is a documentation, yeah. So yeah, here it is described how to start from 0 to hero, and how to set up all these tokens and so on and so on. What privileges you need to delegate them so you can start. I need to make another update, which I didn't fix in my customized repo. So here you can find the Ansible playbooks, which are used by this Ignite process to come up with a configuration that will be tailored to your specific organization needs. And the output of this Ignite process will be folders with TFR files and README files updated based on your configuration again, split into different folders, and you will be guided how to start from and bootstrap your launchpad, which is your level 0, to your level 3 and level 4 configuration. Is here. Okay. Another thing we need to do. So there is a small gap in this container that this version needs to be updated to support my Ansible configuration. Okay, now I have to log in through rover login command. Okay. Let's see. So again, we are starting the rover with the specific parameters. We say that this is a bootstrap process, so it can use the Ignite and bootstrap our configuration, which will be used for our platform landing zone implementation. As you see, here I'm specifying the same ID for my MSDN subscription, which will be used for the demo. But we have IDs, subscription IDs for each of the different platform configurations. What it's doing, it's provisioning service principal names, which will be pre-staged for our federated credentials used by our further implementation of CI/CD pipelines within GitHub Actions. Okay, demo. Opa. Cloud Talks. Cloud Talks. And it starts the Ansible playbook, which is going to use the Ginger templates and the definitions described within the Ignite and the topology file configuration, which actually can be used to tailor your configuration based on your specific needs. This is the Ignite configuration where you can adjust things based on, again, your specific needs. I will not go into the details. This is described in the documentation. What this should be doing. Okay. Refresh. Okay, it creates the platform folder based on our topology that we used. It is generating our firewall YAML files, which describe the configuration. So these are the definitions of our configuration, which can be adjusted. Yeah, it should start outputting the level configurations. Maybe I can show this from our PyDemo repository. Okay, we have the platform. At the end, this process will output these levels, all these levels. And each of the levels will consist of a variety of subfolders, which are in scope of each level and state file. Actually, they can be split into different state files as well. So it comes with these README files, which are updated based on your specific configuration with the IDs that you're using. It is using the specific environment variable. So this variable allows you to have a parallel independent structure within the same tenant without concurrency conflicts and so on and so on. You define what is your level of configuration. Here, level 0 is your launchpad, which provisions the virtual network for my self-hosted agent, all the storage accounts for all the layers where the state files will be hosted, and all these TFVAR files, which will be turned into a specific resource configuration in Azure, are outputted based on the inputs I just did into these folders. So they were not developed by me from 0 to level 3, level 2, actually, because I did a lot of customizations there, because there are limitations of using only virtual WAN configuration, if I'm not wrong, where we didn't need it for our tests, virtual WAN, and some of the connectivity configurations were just not applied. So then we have another configuration for my GitOps agents, which is using actually each of the states and configurations are using this landing zone TFRs file, which is definition of your linkage and dependency of configurations between the different levels and the different configurations. So here, what I'm saying is that we define level 0 with a key launchpad, and then we have our launchpad configuration pointing to that state file into it's consuming these outputs from this state file into our current deployment. It's taking the global settings configuration, which we have here, and it is reusing them in the further subsequent configurations. So landing zone, again, is making the link between the state files of the different configurations. Okay. Here, we are defining what will be the name of the state file, and within our storage account, this configuration will be aware which is the level 0 storage account. It will enumerate all the storage accounts from your management subscription, and will find the appropriate storage account storing the level 0 state files based on the tags that are set to this container. So this is part of the framework, how actually it is identifying where and which storage account it needs to connect and find this state file, which will be further consumed in my self-hosted agent deployment. The Launchpad is coming with the deployment of all the service principal names, all the identity and access management, following the cloud adoption framework and all the best practices described by Microsoft for secure, governed, and reliable environment. For an interest of time, I will just show you a configuration of a further level. Yeah, so here, what we have, once we deploy level 0, which is the Launchpad, which is bootstrapping our platform configuration, and it's preparing all the identity and access management, role delegations, custom roles, all the security groups that are going to be used, all the identities that needs to be take part of this security group, because it is very nice. It is coming with the structure of security groups through which it guarantees a least privilege approach to delegate access to the platform team to a platform team member of a specific security group, which becomes us wide administrators of the entire configuration. You can have contributors with a limited access, and you have a lot of different security groups for each of the layers, which guarantees the isolation between all these states and configurations, and is guaranteeing the delegation of least privilege, following a least privilege approach. And at the end, once the Launchpad is deployed, we have this nice parameter here, which is pointing, I mean, this configuration is again updated by Launchpad with the new deployed resources within our repository with the appropriate key vault name, so it can be aware where the service principal name for level 1 is stored, so it can impersonate the appropriate identity stored in the key vault. Again, the key vault can be is checked for a specific tags that are applied. Then we point what configuration from what TFR files we're using, and it is executing the configuration. Again, we are defining what are the state files, which is the subscription, our test subscription for our management configuration, and so on and so on. Here, there is an action. It can be executed in plan, in apply. Also, as I said before, it's coming with some predefined GitHub action workflows that actually are maintaining the exact same configurations in a sequence where it is first applying the plan. If the plan is consistent and validated and complete, it can proceed further with your apply action. The workflows, honestly, are not very reliable and require a lot of customizations because you have to implement different stages, different gates, and so on and so on, approvals. Every company has specific business needs to apply configurations, but it's still a good foundation from where to start and to try without any knowledge to understand what should be the process. And it is guided approach and recommended approach, which can help you to further customize the start from there and customize the process based on your business and configuration needs. Okay. So yeah, we have 10 minutes. This continues to deploy things. Maybe we can just make a sneak peek within the portal. Maybe Nikki, while I'm doing that, you can open the channel for questions.
Yeah, if I was about to say that if somebody wants to send a question in the chat or they want to speak, just raise your hand and I can unmute you. Generally, I think this was a very extensive look into the cloud adoption framework. I mean, obviously we can talk for hours, but the demo was really useful, at least for me. I've seen it for the first time as well. So anybody who has any impressions or any questions or anything they want to add to the conversation?
Everyone is speechless, so probably I did something wrong. But you can see that it is deploying the resources following good practices with private endpoints and so on. So
I see Georgi would like to say something.
Yep. Just a second.
it will be a hard question if this is Georgi, who I know.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Dan Chuhait, Georgi Peklev. Sorry, I can't turn on my camera. Great talk, really interesting stuff. Oh, my camera is enabled now.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Long time no see. Is there snow around you? Or?
Yes, not so much actually. I still cannot enable my camera. I don't know why I'm clicking on the enable camera button. Yeah, long time no see. Again, great talk, really interesting stuff. A lot of information to take in here. And yeah, greetings from Switzerland.
By the way, look what t-shirt I'm wearing.
Ah, nice. So I have a couple of questions. We are on a CSP agreement. So given your experience with the different Terraform CAF frameworks, which one would you say can be adopted? I wouldn't say in its entirety, but probably partially, if we are to be realistic.
Microsoft will say follow our supported and recommended scenario. But from my perspective, one of the reasons we took the part of the community is because of this nice hierarchy, which is, from my perspective, mandatory for every organization to split the at least the blast radius between the different states, the concurrency between the configurations, and so on and so on. But you as a CSP provider, and we as a main service provider,
as a CSP customer.
CSP customer
of a CSP provider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you can take both approaches. I would say at the end of my slides, actually, there is a slide with two more solutions. One which is monitor baseline and enterprise policy as code. So I would recommend you to step on one, the Microsoft supported framework or this framework. I still prefer the community framework because it comes with this really nice hierarchy. And we can continue this discussion offline, and I can probably support you in this journey. But taking this really good hierarchy that is built, you can step on it and only continue to evolve the existing super module for Terraform for configurations that are currently not supported, because it has its own problems. There are a lot of outdated parameters and so on and so on. So it's good that you have to continue to evolve these modules, but the hierarchy and this development environment that is coming together with the framework is essential. The process which consists most of the bugs is rover ignite, and it's something that you do only once, and you don't care about the version control further. You only start considering to define your configurations as tier var files, to define the links between the different resources, and you can really delegate this kind of responsibilities to teams which don't have any Terraform experience, which is a significant plus for me, because you can build this democratization and give the autonomy to the application teams how to deploy their own configuration. Together with these two nice solutions, enterprise policy as code, which gives you the ability to build policy-based governance. You can govern your entire configuration in a dedicated repository by a dedicated team for these specific responsibilities. And also they recently released this AMBA solution for monitoring, which can use the policy, which is using the policy-based model for applying monitoring only at the time you need. So it's also very interesting project, which from December, from yesterday, they announced that Microsoft built a dedicated team who will continue evolving this solution. And you will have a complete framework of managing your environment with a platform in an operation model where you have a platform team and you have democratization of the application landing zone. The Microsoft solution is also good, but you have to have the appropriate experience to customize it from day one with all this state separation and all this customization that might be required at the very first day. Because once you deploy it, it will be much harder, this TF state file, to be split and then to start customizing the predefined configuration, which is coming from Microsoft, where here I found that customization is more flexible.
Got it. So I understand that the potential for customization is, let's say, more flexible with the community version.
From my perspective, yes. Even there is one more thing. These projects are continuously evolving. So last month, or in September, they released for the Microsoft solution a PowerShell module, which is on the top, which gives you, which can be used as accelerator to prepare your repository for the Microsoft solution And it also comes with a predefined GitHub Actions workflows, which you can use as a startup and baseline to customize then the process for your needs, for your organization needs.
I see. And
so the things
also,
continuously evolve. Maybe the right answer will be test both. I mean, you see how simple it is just to pick them, execute one of them, execute the other, compare what and how you can customize. And for a week or two, you should be able to find which fits best based on your needs, expertises, and so on.
I see. And also you mentioned that you didn't want to use virtual LAN. So for example, how?
Because this is not because I don't like the service. This is because our organization does not have this need.
Right.
That's the only reason. Yeah.
But for example, let's say we wanted to leverage, virtual appliances from the marketplace. So how is it possible from customization standpoint to implement
virtual WAN or virtual
to use, for example, firewall appliances from the marketplace that are provided by different
network
vendors
virtual
like
appliances? I mean, you mean third-party network virtual appliances? Or...
Yes. So to kind of substitute if let's say the framework is using Azure firewall or something else, and we want to use some third-party virtual appliance.
You have to extend both solutions that are available, the community and the Microsoft one. I'm not sure that they are supporting third-party virtual appliances. Probably you have to clone the modules and then start customizing them, so they can support based on your needs the required resources. And also you have to be sure that there is a Terraform module which can support them. I'm not aware.
Right. Yeah. Some of the vendors do have, so this could be could be feasible from the perspective of leveraging the Terraform modules. I was just concerned more about the potential to plug it into the framework.
So if there is no some strange dependency that cannot be achieved in this way, normally you can use the framework for everything else, and you can deploy only this specific portion of configuration independently from Terraform or whatever, or manual way, it doesn't matter. And then somehow for some of the resources, something I didn't show, normally you provide keys when you're linking configurations between the resources, but you can also specify for some of the resources object IDs. So let's say if you deploy the virtual appliance manually, if you use this resource as configuration for another configuration, you can probably point it to the object ID that you have to implicitly set within your configuration. This could be a different approach how to integrate the one or the other framework with separate configuration.
Okay, and last question, if we have time.
Yeah, why not?
So this layer 4 of I don't know how to call it. The names are kind of overlapping.
It's level 4. Yeah.
Yes, in the levels hierarchy. So how user friendly is it for application teams to kind of do self-service? So I understand it kind of imitates an IDP, so it's kind of like a pseudo IDP without maybe the web front end or a friendly UI. But can we
I would say
have
it will be friendly
immature app
as
teams? use it?
So a dedicated repository where they can have some of the module configurations, and you have to submit all these TFVAR files. But the TFVAR files, as you see, are quite descriptive. I would like to have a network interface with a network adapter. It is using this configuration from this LZ key, which is described here. I mean, there are some specifics which you can learn, but this is what they call infrastructure as data. You're not bothered about how the module is developed until you face some really strange problems, but you define configuration. So normally I did previously that similar frameworks by myself. I had to develop the interpreter of this kind of framework configuration so I can define only OS disks and array of or list of OS disks that I would like to have.
To kind of collect the input.
Yeah, if you want a UI, then you have to build it by yourself. But a dedicated repository where they define this, you feed them with a templated repository, you feed them with a templated workflow, and you feed them with a service principal name, which will be already delegated in level 3, which have to provision your subscription, have to provision your networking, probably your identity access management, some policies, whatever. And then you provide them this repository for level 4, from which they only have to deploy a single workload with its configuration. Like, look how the managed instance configuration looks like.
And in terms of resource types, I assume that we can add on our own resources that are not yet supported.
Yeah. You have to extend the super module. So some of the main contributors are proposing do the clone of the super module and this SRE framework repository from day first, so you can customize the configurations by yourself. Otherwise, you will be limited to what is supported by the super module. Even so far, I didn't found a resource and configuration that I'm not able to achieve in one way or another. If there is something like the virtual appliances that you mentioned, for some of the configurations, you can specify explicitly IDs, like here. Because this group is, for example, deployed in lower level, like level 0, I don't have the access from level 4 to level 0, and I had to explicitly say, okay, this is the object ID I like to use.
Yeah, I like that layered architecture. It's a great concept, but I have to look into that.
And also the rover, you know, Georgislav, he mentioned to me that he liked the approach of rover, and he built this integrated development environment within a container with all the required tools, which they can maintain based on their needs in the time. But they have this portable container, which can be the development environment for this kind of purposes, like the SRE engineers who are managing the infrastructure as code.
Great. Thanks very much. It was nice chatting
it was
with
pleasure.
you.
And if you have questions, you can contact me. We can have a talk about this, and I can help you with anything that you might be struggling.
Dancho, we have another question in the chat. Jakub, do you want to? I can read it out, but do you want to? I can unmute you and you can ask this. I have a discussion. Okay.
I read it. So the question is how frequently the community probably because this was the main focus. The community team is releasing new updates. I would say quite frequently. If we go through the oops, I apologize. If we go probably every month, and also same applies for the Microsoft supported solution. Pretty much every month they release. New updates. So last week. Let me check in the chat probably. Include the.
So to fetch those updates, are you cherry picking the commits or?
Yeah, you can do that. Also, I think there was a described approach how you can update the configuration. Also, they're announcing, because this could bring a lot of discrepancies and a lot of conflicts while they're updating one resource. The ones that are dependent could fail, and so on and so on. So this kind of breaking changes or changes are announced in the release notes. You can always, because this is a pooled configuration, you can only update your shell file, which repo and which branch it can pull. So you can leverage the recent version. And of course, if there are breaking changes, probably you have to update your configuration, but breaking changes are not that frequent. Also, within the module, you can, the super module, you can also manage the version, which is within the HashiCorp registry, and you can also use a configuration from your local computer if you want. So you can point at these modules is on your local machine and or your local repository. Sorry. So you can try configurations or adjust configurations and so on. So this is how you manage the versioning. But you can always, yeah, if you clone the repository and you don't want to sync or you don't want to fork the repositories for some reason, you can always use a private branch somewhere or locally.
I see.
Cherry pick, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'm not sure, Jakub, I'm not sure that I understand the question. So as soon as I deploy level 2, how it aligns with level 1 updates or what? So if I understand the question, if I make an update on level 1, where level 2 is dependent on level 1 for some way, how these changes are reflected, of course, you have to re-execute the upper levels, at least the next one, so it can read the updated configuration, use probably as a foundation to update the next levels if they're changed. For example, you change something in your connectivity layer. Then if you do an update on the connectivity layer, you have to execute then all the upper levels who are depending on these connectivity changes. Yeah, but think about it. If everything was executed in one shot, then it might cause more problems than doing this kind of reinitiation of the configuration. Okay, it was my pleasure again. Happy Names Day to Nikki and Nikki. I hope that you spoke who is the big fish and the small fish. So
Thank you, Doncho. Really appreciate the opportunity to have you on our session. And I have final question. I know that
yeah,
you're pretty experienced with Bicep as well. So when we'll
I
have
prefer
this
Bicep.
comparison, so
I
when we'll
prefer
have this
Bicep.
comparison, I would like to see the same session for the Bicep, right?
Because Five Partners is trusted managed service provider where we have to provide AWS expertises and Azure, so it's a strategic decision. I still find Bicep only in the context of Azure more efficient, much more useful. I hear that all these implementations of cloud adoption framework are having less problems for Bicep because you use the native APIs. You don't have this in the middle modules which someone developed and are limited in the configuration. As soon as API in Azure is released, it is supported by the ARM and Bicep templates. But industry standard, it helps multi-cloud companies to be more efficient in their skill set and portfolio. So this is the reason I came up
Just
with
to add
Terraform.
to that, these modules can also be translated to AZ API modules, and they'll have feature parity with Bicep and ARM.
Yeah.
Hey, good stuff.
Great talk. Thanks, Dancho. It was very interesting.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay,
Thanks.
guys, and yeah, see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you all back next year with next
Live.
session. There will be a lot of events, and as Dancho mentioned, we plan to be live. So thank you again.
Okay, let's say different in person.
Let's say live and in person.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
Happy holidays, everyone. Bye.
thank you.
Happy
Have a great
holidays.
holidays. Thank you all.